Welcome back to episode 4, Traveling Back in Time. This is to a brother and a friend. Realizing that you mean nothing at all to the executive branch is a challenging way to live. I've tried every avenue and angle to get help in a horrible situation nobody should have to endure. This morning I completed more reports to the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. There are 5 reports total. I'm talking with a lawyer to be aware of my best strategy moving forward. Neighbors choose not to help me after they caused all the harm. Someone in my neighborhood got a group who said they were able to learn what goes on in the privacy of my own home. The neighbors have been secretive for years, and the 3 neighbors I did know have all lied to me and pretended they knew nothing about what was going on. I've been signed up to experience hell on earth just because I refused to sell my house in the neighborhood. So they eye me like a hawk, as if if I speak out against their wickedness, they believe I am displaying symptoms of my disease. So I'm a quiet slave outside my home on my property, and everybody thinks I'm crazy. Oh my God.
Good morning. Friend and fraternity brother messaged me last night saying, "Hey buddy, you okay?" This is my response. "Sorry for the hour I'm replying. Just saw your message. No, I'm not. The police and FBI have refused to follow up on crimes committed against me that I've reported and have attempted to report. The Columbus Division of Police have rejected online attempts to file reports of crime. It gets deleted out of their system. I tried calling 911 6 times over the last 2 years, and every time an officer is dispatched, they refuse to let me file anything with them. I have sent 52 either IC3 or tips to the FBI about defamation of character and collusion in the neighborhood and about the police profiling and violations of my civil rights, but they've not responded in any way. I have been tortured with a government military-grade weapon, similar to what the Havana Syndrome victims have endured. The program is called RNM, or Remote Neural Monitoring. I've lost 60% of my lower front jawbone and had extremely rapid recession of my gums and loss of tooth mass. The program also uses V2K, voice-to-skull technology, and the people using it have psychologically tortured me over a 6-year time period. None of the brothers believe anything I say and have abandoned me because they believe all my trouble is drug-related. I have proof and evidence that the crimes were committed and who did them, but the police don't pay any attention to me. The FBI hasn't followed through because I am a victim of torture, and it's a weapon they use that is illegal and given to them by the Department of Defense. I've contacted dozens of media companies and believe the police have blocked exposure of my story because not a single one has returned a message inquiring about more information. The brothers don't believe that RNM exists and that I am a survivor of the truth being used. Because the FBI uses it, and there are things like fusion centers, the local law enforcement around the country, some have been given access to the program to use against innocent civilians. The entire executive branch of government uses the unconstitutional program and are threatening the stability of our government by taking away citizens' rights. I've been busy trying to educate friends and senators about the program, and it's met with harsh criticism and disbelief, even though it is real. The program uses millimeter microwave radio frequency radiation to unlock an individual's DNA resonance signature and allows the energy to penetrate through the skin. The diagram I'm going to send you is a document from the FBI, which was accidentally disclosed when a person did a Freedom of Information Act on a completely separate topic. It describes what the government is able to do with the R&M program. It sounds like science fiction, but it's real. And the program can surveillance and target any individual and lock on them to produce the physical and psychological torture. A large majority of TIEs, targeted individuals, have been misdiagnosed with a mental illness, and then government and police use that excuse to cover up their crimes of using the weapon. I'm so isolated and alone fighting this battle. RJ believes me, but the rest of the brothers do not. And I thought for certain that I would be believed by my fraternity brothers. It hurts more than you know. I'm in touch with a lawyer who is going to help me with some of the lawsuits I'm going to have to file because the people using the weapon refuse to help me expose the truth. They were on the fence about it, but now they are not, because I think they are affiliated with one of the larger organizations using it. The CIA and Air Force have created this weapon, and it's only supposed to be used for war. But they let other people use it against innocent Americans to illegally obtain information, set people up, use entrapment, and conduct investigations. Sorry for the long message. It's wonderful to hear from you, and I hope you're doing well. I'm in a race against time, as the weapon is still being used on me. Guilty people are free, and the possibility of a silencing of my story is a very real threat from the Division of Police and the FBI. I've done nothing wrong or illegal for my government to treat me this way, and it's all over what I've done in the privacy of my own home. And when neighbors illegally learned about it, they all got together and decided to try to get me removed from the neighborhood. They've enlisted the help of the police to get their way. Neighbors have lied to the police to get evaluations done, and they've created 21 mental health evaluations in the last 3 years. With that evidence, the neighbors are trying to claim I need to be institutionalized so that I am legally removed from the neighborhood. What the neighbors are really wanting is for a recovering addict to move out of their home and our neighborhood. It's so fucked up. And I just want it to end, but neighbors are remaining silent and not giving me the information I need to get my torture to stop because they are afraid of getting into trouble. Jason Milligan, Trevor Peters, and Mike Brenner, Scott Donaldson, and Jeff Egdal intervened last November. I said the only thing I need is contact with the police or preferably the FBI. I've asked for nothing from everyone except that one thing, and nobody listens to me. And they're all mad thinking it's a drug thing or a mental illness, and I'm just not facing my problems. They don't believe R&M and V2K is real, and because of that, I continue to live life as a slave, with tons of my rights being stripped of me and tortured every single day. My body and my life are in jeopardy, and at any time the program can cause blindness, heart attack, or stroke. So if the people get close to being caught, I very likely will be killed, so they can save themselves. I can't believe all this is happening just because I did drugs in the privacy of my own home. My neighbors are fucking assholes, and I wish I could move away. But then I wouldn't get resolution to the problem and get my torture to stop. The problem is all here in the neighborhood, so I'm working hard to get resolution from it and have my captors revealed. It would not be the first time that people have been caught using these types of weapons, DEWs. But my case is different because it involves an entire neighborhood. and the defamation of character and collusion is so widespread, it's affected my reputation around the city and across the United States. I suspect the neighbors think I'm dealing drugs, which of course isn't true. My neighbor across the street, I know, spoke either with Jason, Trevor, or Mike, and Mike spoke with the next door neighbor. The brothers have been dishonest with what they set up and what was said, which doesn't help me one bit. They are entrenched in the idea that they are correct about whatever was said, and I am wrong. The police have further complicated things because they go around telling people of my medical history and condition. It's a violation of HIPAA laws. And everyone believes the police, who have blocked me from reporting crimes in the first place. I was misdiagnosed by OSU and need to file for malpractice, and it's all because the psychiatrists don't believe that neighbors are harassing me and trying to get me moved out of the neighborhood. Because if they checked with the police, there is nothing on file with them. The brain witches have also fucked up my life, and I'm receiving unnecessary prescriptions and doctor's appointments because of it. My life is a shit show. I don't know what to do, and nobody is willing to help. I work hard every day of the week for at least 13 to 14 hours a day, trying to get myself help and resolution to a nightmare that some wicked people don't want to end. Sorry for the long rant, but it's necessary to get all the cards out on the table. I think you'd agree that I'm the most honest person you've ever met in your life, but in this situation, disbelief surrounds me, and I'm all alone trying to do 1,000 things at once, and I'm exhausted doing it all. I'm over having to deal with the mess and relive the past every time I have to report or share my story. I've written 7 complete journals about my struggle to get back my rights and freedom, and hope one day to publish and sell them. For the time being, it is online free so that I can use it as documentation of others' crimes. My efforts to get help, to protect myself. I fear the police, and I fear the government, as they may try to bring up bogus charges just so I won't be able to share my story and have validity. Thank God I'm clean as a whistle except for 1 DUI. But until this is resolved, I fear being followed by police and them using entrapment with the program to help them. So every day, I have to face those fears and boldly and bravely do what I need to try and get back everything that's been lost. And a hell of a lot more too. The suits total millions of dollars in damages. And the neighbors, the city, Coldwell Banker, OSU, Netcare, and the FBI are all liable if I can manage to keep myself safe long enough to get help and file the suits. Until then, I'm a tortured man on a lot of people's hit list and run the risk of injury and further loss of freedom every day around the clock. I just want my experience to end, and it's challenging to get that to occur. That is my life because the FBI won't talk to me. You are not allowed by law, by the Constitution, to not treat everybody equally. Sick and tired of the runaround with the police sick and tired of being ignored. I'm an American too, but I sure don't feel like one.
I'm going to repost this. So just hang on for a minute while I do this. And then we're on to the next video. I'm going to set this down while I do that. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. We're into our 4th hour and I'm ready to go all night. Okay, and we're off onto the next one. It's been a hard day's night is the title of this one. Getting back my freedom is a full-time job. Today I put in 19 hours of research, posting pictures and video, and writing extensively. If you want to learn more about a form of electronic harassment, R&M, and my journey toward freedom again and rights restored, please visit my Facebook page, Dear Justice, They Drone Me Crazy. Your following my page shows support for human rights, constitutional rights, and property law. I can use all the help I can get. I will continue to write until there is resolution to the neighborhood issue that's gotten way out of hand for years because of assumptions, lies, and no communication all across the board with everyone involved. There are rewards for helping me get my freedom back. You can read about them in the About section in my journal page. And here is a brief video.
Hey everybody, how are you? Boy, am I tired. It's been another long day trying to get people to understand truth, and I'm just really exhausted. Hopefully tomorrow I will be closer to getting my freedom back. Be sure to go onto Facebook, please, and follow my journey towards getting my freedom back. The page is Tiered Justice. They Drone Me Crazy. Thank you, and have a good night. Bye, guys.
Told you, it was short. This is a short one. This is a really great video. It's from far away. We are now at a crossroads right now. With all the talk about New World Order, this is it. Help preserve individuality and uniqueness. Otherwise, we will all be slaves. No joke.
Massmedia. Det här är en mänsklighetens korsväg, kan vi kalla det för. Man kan säga att det har aldrig hänt någonting tidigare i mänsklighetens historia. Det här är första gången någonting händer. Det vill säga att tidigare har vi alltid varit våra egna biologiska skapelser. För vissa har vi varit indoktrinerade till att tro eller inte tro på olika saker. Men vi har ändå alltid haft vår egen biologi, vår egen förmåga och mentala egenskaper. Det här är en fråga som då egentligen ingen känner till, som är utan tvekan den viktigaste som finns för mänskligheten. Och det var ju precis vad John Glenn sa i sitt tal 1997 när han lämnade senaten.
So this is a great movie. It's real life. You should watch it because it's very important. Robert Nussland, The Human Brain Project.
I made a trailer for the movie because I thought it was really good. And here's the first one. It's a little bit longer. This is a small preview of a 53-minute presentation by Robert Nussland, The Human Brain Project. You'll be amazed if you watch the entire video. There needs to be public exposure of this CIA ongoing project that has resulted in the current program of R&M. Something I call the Wigger Spawn in my journal on Facebook. It's called Tear Justice. They drone me crazy, and it's my struggle to get back my own freedom and rights restored. Being a literal slave is very unsettling and very disappointing to be occurring in the freest country in the world.
Och det är New York Times. Redan från inledningen refererade under 50-talet så tog de upp forskningsrapporter och refererade möjligheten att nu, för första gången i mänsklighetens historia, så kan vi neutralisera inte bara mentala sjukdomar utan även fysiska. Man hade en mängd artiklar om den utvecklingen under 50-talet. Även 60-talet. Men då började man se att tekniken var missbrukad. Och man refererade många ledande personligheters varningar om ett samhälle, om den sociala faran av ett samhälle under hjärnkontroll. Under 1970-talet hade den faran mycket långt. Och allt fler artiklar handlade om CIAs utveckling av hjärnsystem. 1977, enbart under den sommaren, publicerade New York Times 30 artiklar om CIAs
1977, the summer of 1977, 30 articles are written about the CIA's brain control system in the New York Times. Check it out.
Kontrollsystem. Det viktigaste som kom fram var att det hade inletts redan från slutet på 40-talet och att de hade byggt in en stat i staten med hjälp av den här tekniken. Hade New York Times sin första politiska ledare under det läst den första av de 3 följande under de nästa 10 år. Den här publicerades den 10 april 1967 under rubriken Push Button People, det vill säga tryckknappsmänniskor. Och man tog upp experimenten som man såg pågick och varnade för utvecklingen av den här tekniken. Och man menade på att den måste komma upp till en mer allmän debatt och allas kännedom. Man nämnde också att förmodligen fanns det länder i världen som hade redan planlagt om att kuva sina befolkningar med den här tekniken. Jag ska citera några ord ifrån den politiska ledaren. Det är tänkbarheten av motsvarande kontroll över människan som skapar betänkligheter. För några år sedan sade en forskare att experiment styrkte den obehagliga sanningen att rörelse, känsla och beteende kan kontrolleras så att människan blir till en robot. Det är verkligen en obehaglig sanning. Det är ganska troligt att vissa länder undersöker utsikten att använda dessa resurser till att kontrollera sina befolkningar. Bara tanken om den möjligheten är stötande och gör självfallet en bredare allmän debatt och större uppmärksamhet nödvändig.
I like that last bit. Public discussion and greater attention than it has received up to now. Our government has decided to not have any conversation about this and done whatever it wanted to do. Control us. That's not anything American. This one's called Drive-By Shooting. It's another me driving by Patty's. This is just one example of dozens. I used to aim my camera toward the property that's made my life hell. There's enough foot traffic in that home to open up a shop that specialized in kill rem, trying to make me move. Now I just hop in my car and go around the block and record videos like these to get the license plate numbers of both innocent and guilty people who have collectively gang stalked me because I own my property across the street. They want me to move, so they've destroyed my life and found a group willing to torture me with high-tech weapons designed for war, but are in the hands of civilians. I am not alone. This ruthless and cowardly behavior is becoming more common as people learn about the technology. It is hideous and destroys lives of not just victims, but perpetrators too. For more on my story about battling the neighbor, the police, and the government for my rights and my freedom back, please visit and follow on Facebook. To your justice, they drove me crazy. This is real life, and everything I write is 100% accurate and true. And then I do hashtags for RNM, V2K, microwave weapons, targeted individuals, gang stalking, and organized stalking. Here we go.
Well, here we go again. This one is a silver or gray vehicle sedan. And the license is HLK 5555.
I've got many of those. I transfer them over to that page that I showed you a little while ago. Last call for help. Over the last few months, I have informed people of wrongs they've committed and asked for help in resolving the bigger issue of the use of R&M to remove me from the neighborhood. Nobody has responded back, called, or knocked on my door. These people, better than anyone, would be aware of who has assisted them. It could be the one who had the rude barbecue guest one spring day. It could be the wife with an overly confident kid telling of being able to learn things from within my home. It could be the one who gabs on an emergency line for 25 minutes telling lies about my present and past. Or it could be the one who is convinced the government came to her house for a visit and had men staked out on her porch years ago, stalking me late at night. Point is, someone knows something, and I'm tired of slavery. It's not for me, or anyone else for that matter. That's why I've been trying to negotiate things directly with my captors for the better good of society and human civilization. I know how I'll proceed. It's a shame that the guilty are too scared to come forward and release me or attempt to save mankind too. I don't know what else I can do without going to court, since the police and FBI refuse to handle everything I've given them with proof to back it up. The executive branch is going to end up having me take my own neighbors to court to get answers out of them. That's fucked up, but it is what it is. I'm done with compromise and negotiation. If this round of letters doesn't do the trick, then I'll have no other choice. I've tried to love thy neighbor and not been loved back. So fine, I get it. But they're going to get theirs. What goes around comes around. I have not another word to say. And if they can stare and ignore, then that's what I'll try. You know, to fit in the ever so selective Midgard Woodbine neighborhood. Gotta get along to get along, right?
Hey everybody, how you doing today? I'm hopeful that today is going to be a good day, and I'm going to finally get answers from people that do not want to give them. So, I will be mailing 1, 2, 3, 4.
You notice that on 3 of them I don't have last names. That's because I found out their names either through 911 transcripts or a guest who was a traveling salesperson for a cable company. That's how I found out Bill's name.
Because I don't think that they've talked to each other and knows that I sent each of them a letter asking for help. We'll see what happens with this one.
Of course, nothing happened. No response. This one is informative because it is about the DNA resonance signature. And each of us has a special vibrational electromagnetic field that is unique and different from every other living organism on Earth. It's our natural defense. This video describes how that code, DNA resonance signature, can be invisibly stolen. Once an organism is susceptible to having their body and mind manipulated.
Frequencies, microwave signals, the entire spectrum of radio frequencies can be used within a certain range to produce all sorts of different effects. So the way it works is a device broadcasts a radio frequency, let's say at an individual, and that radio frequency will hook up with the resonant frequency of the individual's mind or body, or in this case, DNA. And what happens is once the resonant frequency is found in the targeted individual and the broadcast frequency matches up with that resonant frequency, those two frequencies interlock and they can be thought of as one frequency or one energy. And what happens is between the broadcast frequency and the individual that's receiving the broadcast frequency, once they are resonating together, a super highway of frequency along which information can be sent is created. And so you can think of it just like fiber optic cables that you use to send signals over the internet that connect people to the internet. It's the exact same thing, only a wireless application of that.
So I think that my captors knew I was going to Harding Hospital and they just pretended they were the government and got my DNA information from Harding Hospital. This one's called Mental Illness. Tortured Americans seeking help in ending their hell end up with a mental diagnosis. It's the media's fault. The executive branch just refers to medical documentation to discredit people who are telling the truth. Sick America.
As many of the test subjects, so-called, the people are being experimented on, whereas within the program, as they're called, a target, as many of them have already learned, one of the key means of covering up this program is to use the psychological profession to do so. Those who speak out about this issue are funneled to psychiatrists for evaluation. The psychiatrists are working with those who are running this program. In many cases, they are directly paid by them to render a diagnosis of schizophrenic, multiple personality disorder, delusional, paranoid, depressed, upon the test subjects, the targets, so that they will be discredited, so that if they talk out any further or they ever start making any progress against this program, they are inherently discredited, because those who run this program will simply release the psychological files and claim that the person is mentally ill. This is a perfect way to cover up such a technology whose main feature and most popular feature, most well-known feature, is voice to skull, which induces sound within the cranial cavity of the test subject, of the target themselves, so that when that person goes to speak out about it, when they go to seek help from their fellow human beings, and their fellow human beings say, "What is it that's happening to you?" the target will then say, "I'm hearing voices inside my head." It's the result of voice to skull technology. It's a sophisticated microwave auditory effect. It's radio frequency signals that are being beamed at my fucking head that are causing me to hear sounds and voices inside my head. Obviously, if members of the general public are not aware of the existence of this technology, which many of them are not, most of them are not, then they will interpret that as concerning. They will feel concern for the target. and they will conclude that this person must be crazy. And as a result, they will recommend psychological evaluation for that person. You can see the way this is going to go, and the way it is going right now. As good people, helpless people that are being abused and tortured and enslaved and experimented upon in America today, American citizens cry out for help from their fellow Americans, and their fellow Americans say, why don't you take some Prozac because we think you're schizophrenic? Well, this is a highly technical program. All of the symptoms are induced by a technology that is so fucking sophisticated, it is horrifying beyond description. We also see...
That's Brian Coffrin. And he is a very brave whistleblower who has helped expose the R&M program. Now, we're going to talk about some leaders for a little while. Isn't this going to be fun? Donald Rumsfeld. Here's an example of executive branch leadership lying to media in a press conference. These, quote, experimental weapons have been around for 20 years, and they have been and are being tested on innocent Americans and citizens around the world. Here's a question that's not answered very well.
About some of the technology that you're developing to fight the war on terror, specifically directed energy and high-powered microwave technology. When do you envision that you can weaponize that type of technology?
It is in, for the most part, the kinds of things you're talking about are in varying early stages. Do you want to add anything to add?
I don't think I would add much. I think they are in early stages and probably not ready for employment at this point.
In the normal order of things, when you invest in research and development and begin a developmental project, you don't have any intention or expectations that one would use it. On the other hand, the real world intervenes from time to time, and you reach in there and take something out that is still in a developmental stage, and you might use it. So your question is not answerable. It depends on what happens in the future and how well things move along the track, and whether or not someone feels it's appropriate to reach into it.
It depends on the future and how things move down the track. This has been planned for a long time.
A development stage and see if something might be useful, as was the case with the unmanned aerial vehicles.
But you sound like you're willing to experiment.
I think that's the point, and I think that we have, I think, from the beginning of this conflict, I think General Franks has been very open to looking at new things if there are new things available, and has been willing to put them into the fight even before they've been fully wrung out. And I think that's not referring to these two particular cases of directed energy or high-powered microwave.
With your background,
Well,
you know, can you give us
there you have it. Liars. Because it's been around for 20 years. And they've experimented on innocent Americans.
This next one is Bill Clinton. Apologies from the past.
Government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation. The goal was to understand the effects of radiation exposure on the human body. Americans were kept in the dark about the effects of what was being done to them. The deception extended beyond the test subjects themselves to encompass their families and the American people as a whole. For these experiments were kept secret, and they were shrouded not for a compelling reason of national security, but for the simple fear of embarrassment, and that was wrong. So today, on behalf of another generation of American leaders and another generation of American citizens, the United States of America offers a sincere apology to those of our citizens who were
Why is it still going on now? Listen to the reason.
subjected to these experiments.
Because of embarrassment. They didn't want to reveal the program. Play it again. You'll hear it for yourself. From President Bill Clinton's own mouth.
And President Clinton again. Clinton talking about MK Ultra, which is still being done under a different name. This type of non-consensual experimentation on innocent Americans must end. We are not to invade each other's person's body this way.
Thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place. In too many cases, informed consent was withheld. Americans were kept in the dark about the effects of what was being done to them. The deception extended beyond the test subjects themselves to encompass their families and the American people as a whole. For these experiments were kept secret. We've been testing on humans for months.
I think that's actually exactly what was in the other video, so that's a repeat. Sometimes it takes hearing something twice or 3 or 5 or 1,000 times. Here is Barack Obama. Obama talking about remote neuromonitoring. Today, by stealing people's DNA resonance signature, users of the RNM program can know your thoughts, talk to you, and deliver physical torture, all by a millimeter microwave radio frequency beam from cell towers and geolocate targets with satellite technology. This research, which is invasion of privacy, must end today. Listen to this glorification of a torture program. Are you ready?
Everyone, this is President Barack Obama. The U.S. and Australia are funding research into a device that could someday allow people to control their minds, and without invasive brain surgery. When implanted into a blood vessel, this network of tiny electrodes can record your brain signals. It sounds like something from the future, but it's just another example of how investing in research can move us all forward.
So, it sounds exciting, doesn't it? So there's been something put into us that sends off a signal. It's very small. That allows our individual defense system, electrical system, to be read. Here is CIA and military mind control research on human subjects. Here is a news report about a program that was supposed to stop back in the 1980s, but was continued. Now anyone's brain can be invaded and affected, and there is no defense for it. Without an implant. The word implant, by definition, can be something inside the body that's naturally occurring. DNA resonance signature, our electromagnetic force field. The device that unlocks the code is a millimeter microwave radio frequency beam aimed at a person or any living plant or animal organism.
group of veterans has filed a lawsuit against the CIA and U.S. Army, claiming that the government planted remote-controlled devices in their brains. The claims relate to a government program at the U.S. Army's Edgewood Arsenal in Maryland, where scientists tested hundreds of chemical and biological substances on at least 7,800 servicemen. So could this really be happening? Well, joining me to help discuss this is Dr. Colin Ross, president of the Colin A. Ross Institute for Psychological Trauma. Dr. Ross, tell me, is this really happening? Did the government really take part in mind control experiments on soldiers? What kind of stories have you heard from the survivors of these experiments? I know you've had access to thousands of documents from the CIA.
Well, it's just like you just said, there's two kind of streams of information. There's stories from survivors, and then there's the documents. So if I go to the documents first, they're very, very detailed, 15,000 pages plus, and we're starting back in 1950 with projects called Artichoke and Bluebird, which were then rolled over into MK Ultra, which in turn was rolled over to MK Search, and then all the documents stopped in 1973. So in that era of 50 to 73, there's a whole host of different types of mind control experiments: hypnosis, LSD, special interrogation chambers, and brain electrode implants. And so there's projects in the CIA documents and in Army records where electrodes are put into dolphins, and the dolphins are directed by remote transmitter to deliver a bomb to a target. And there's a discussion of similar technology in cats and other animals. There's research funded by the Office of Naval Research published in mainstream journals where electrodes are put in the brains of cats, dogs, and their behaviors controlled, and even human beings at Harvard and Yale. So this is absolutely documented fact.
So tell me how commonplace this was. Are we talking about one program that took place decades ago, or do you think it's happening more often than that? And if so, how could it be so secretive? I mean, most people would think this can't be true. This is stuff out of a movie.
Right. It was not just one program back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. It was Harvard, Yale, Tulane, UCLA. So we know there was more than one university involved, more than one branch of the military, more than one program for a fact. What's going on currently, of course, is all classified. People tell you stories about it, but I can't actually prove that it's happening today. I'm certain that it is, but I can't prove it.
So, what is able to be done now is that the word implant doesn't actually need to be something that's implanted into your body, because they're able to use your DNA signature, resonance signature, in order to control the electrical impulses in the brain.
And that ends that page. We are not ready for a break yet, but we're getting close. We are 53 minutes into the 4th hour. And we're moving on. Oh, no, we're not. We still got some more here. We got quite a bit more. This is a patent resource guide for V2K. Part 2. More information for the masses is easy. Lounging, drool, forming, TV mode. Don't miss the message at the end. It's important for everyone.
Hey there, it's just me again spreading information, because the media doesn't. So what we've got here are a bunch of patents on human control. That would be controlling the human body. You'll notice that the first 3 are not U.S. patents. But all the rest of these are. You can very easily find out the information for yourself. All you have to do is put it in the search bar. It's really rather easy. And you wouldn't think to do this type of research unless it was happening to you. Then all of a sudden, things are different. Because you look for answers to what's going on with your body. Over here on the left, we're up to 64 patents on control of the human body. Last time I checked, the body was considered off limits. I know between males and females, it is. It's called rape. Let me get back to where I was. There we go. Let me zoom in for you. So what's going on is the equivalent of brain rape. When people are using these inventions that everybody's so excited to use, there's a segment of the population that is just not super sensitive to it, as is suggested. They're actually being attacked with these inventions in order to harvest data, in order to gain information, maybe even steal your whole identity. If somebody knows your thoughts, they have your sight. So, unless you forget the PIN to your bank ATM, every time you punch it in, you're giving somebody else your PIN. I think I missed the bottom part, so just hang with me. Look at that, we're up to 104. $116 on controlling the human body, brain rape. I'm going to read these last 5 to you because they're important. At number 1, US 6430443B1. Method and apparatus for treating auditory hallucinations. Sounds like a mental illness, doesn't it? Well, now there's a patent for it. Number 2. US 201-400-39821, which is really long. A1. Method for scanning and analyzing and identifying electromagnetic field sources. So, just like a barcode on something that you purchase in the store, somebody with an electromagnetic wave can basically get your DNA resonance signature and invade your body. And according to the last patent, give you auditory hallucinations. Number 3, US 556-2597A. Method and apparatus for reducing psychological stress. Sorry, physiological stress, not psychological. Number 4. This is one that I should really find out more about. US 7297100B2. Device for magnetic and electric field shielding. And finally, I don't know what the WO means. Hopefully it's not World Order. 199-500-5128A1. Protection for living systems from electromagnetic fields. It sounds like we're living in science fiction land, but we're not. It's really real. So wake up and help end the torture going on around this country. It's not right. Wake up.
And it's a short one. 9 whole seconds long. I forgot to take a picture of this note before sending it off. In summary, I called her out for her lies about me smoking pot and doing opioids that she told the police. I shared with her the proof that I have, being 21 lab results. I also shared that I was drugged once with fentanyl before another setup evaluation, and that is considered attempted murder. I also shared with her that the only reason I have a diagnosis is because people like her who don't communicate and then run inside and call the police. I ended the letter telling her I need to learn where the lies are coming from. Her friend Patty and the man that will not be named have also taken vows of silence. Well, now she's in the hot seat and could go to jail if she doesn't reveal where the lies have come from. Damn. All this work just to get my freedom back. Oh my God.
This is the last letter, I promise. Then everything will be done.
See? Told you it was quick. Now, we get to an interesting part, and I know you're really itching for a break, but I promise you, it's going to be worth it. This is called... No, well, let's beg for freedom first. Even though it's Sunday, a slave has to work to get back his rights and freedom. I mailed 2 letters to neighbors at high noon. I want them to get into circulation first thing Monday morning. I'm tired of waiting for my rights and freedom to be restored, so I did something different again. They say if you do the same thing over and expect a different response, that you are crazy. Well, I'm certainly not, and I'll be pleased as punch to prove to everyone too. Bill and Etta might be concerned with how I obtained their first names, since we've never formally met. They know mine, though, along with a whole lot of other personal stuff, too. Yup, invasion of privacy is a huge deal, even if people don't want to stand up and fight for others' country, given guaranteed rights. They better soon, or they're going to lose their own. I learned of Etta's name from 2 911 transcript recordings, where she gave her name and phone number. So, if I don't get a response from her, I'll give her a little ring. I'm sure she's so busy. I learned Bill's name when a door-to-door cable saleswoman said she had spoken to the neighbor behind me and gave a female and male name, like they were a couple. I blanked on Bill's wife's name, but because it's a male name, Bill, and 2 single women live on either side of Bill, by process of elimination, I learned the creepy peeper's real name. Soon, I will post publicly the 2 letters on my Facebook journal page. Dear Justice, they drone me crazy. But I will respectively give them both an opportunity to respond to my letter. It's only the neighborly thing to do, right? There are questions I have that need answered, and these 2, along with Patty and the one who will not be named, are the ones able to provide them. I never really thought I'd ever have such a challenging time talking honestly among neighbors. But reality is what it is. I can smell discrimination a mile away like a sweaty sock. I've been part of a minority group since I was 10. And people do treat others differently when they're not a part of the majority. My neighbors felt if they huddled together and came up with a good game plan, they might score a touchdown and win the game. All they did was create another crime on top of all the others they've done in an illegal effort to get me to move out of the neighborhood and sell my home. We're not a condominium association, and you can't vote people out of a neighborhood and use torture and intimidation to accomplish it. We don't have any fees as part of our mortgages in the quaint and beautiful Midgard Woodbine neighborhood, and you can't regulate who lives and owns property within it. On top of it, to top it off, they had meetings about me and didn't invite me to defend myself or even find out what the issue was. Everything has been done behind my back and with full support and guidance from the Columbus Division of Police. That's why they refuse, after 6 911 requests, to let me file an official report of neighborhood harassment. I tried to email the neighborhood a message and discovered that although I can receive emails from the Google group, I can't respond back. To ensure that the message was distributed to everyone, I went through my email for the last 2 months and found 14 email addresses to send the message to, asking them to please pass it along to neighbors. 3 days later, there has not been one single response of any kind from any of my neighbors. Rude bitches. Or were they told by the police not to communicate with me to get what neighbors want because the police plan to do something? I certainly hope not. Either way, I remain a slave living in the White House atop a hill as if it were 1800, waiting for the day someone in law enforcement and authority will finally help. We'll see how long it takes. It's already been over 2,300 days in a row, and I'm getting angry I'm not equal in a country that says we are, as promised by citizenship. Isolated and yearning to be a part of society again, I must do everything I can to get back what's rightfully mine, and pray that God will continue to provide me the strength to see to it that His will on earth remains true. Remote-controlled humans is not the way any of us were brought into this world. And I will not tolerate an existence being someone's punching bag or pet. I have my own life, my own beliefs, my own decisions to make in the small amount of time I have left on this planet. A speck of rock in the universe. Get out of my way and let me live my life. R&M and V2K are two things every American should educate themselves about, because the media isn't going to do it. Sadly, they fill their little sitcom program daily with politics, war, and COVID. They aren't interested in sharing anything else that might make us more informed and more able to resist a tide of a powerful few. This is the most important information you'll learn about the 21st century. Please learn. And here we go with a 24-second video.
So, here we go. There's 1 and 2. Done. Have a great day.
And with that, I think we're going to take a break, because when we come back, we're going to get into the good stuff. We're going to get into the 911 calls. So hang on, and we'll be right back with the V2K Patent Resource Guide, Part 1.